that I use, because some of my resources are set up so that people that don't read Greek can have access to some things. So it'll have an element like that. So one of the things it does is if you look up a Greek word, it'll also it'll also give you the pronunciation. And so the reason I was doing that, because we had a question the other day about word forms such as, well, we don't have this one, doesn't have it here, but it should be a iota subscript. Probably can't even see that on the board, but when you have lid case nouns, the ending under the vowel normally has a iota subscript under it, and whether or not we pronounce that or not. And I have never been taught to pronounce it, and going through the resources I had and looking at how they pronounce it in English, they don't. So at this moment, I'm just going to say the jury is out on that
So
one.
for our purposes, it's there to inform us that it's the lid case, not the nominative case.
Yes.
Say that word.
Basileia.
Okay, but according to the book, the A needs to be long through the whole word.
Oh, through the whole word?
Well, okay, I'll look at that again.
So base, you're saying basileia.
Basileia.
Basileia. Basileia.
Okay, go find it. That's one of those.
Yeah, that's what the book says, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, but is it pronounced long though? Is it treated long or is it pronounced long? This is the situation.
Okay, so I don't know what page I'm on. Oh, that's not it. Never mind. Oh, here. This one.
Is it?
When the step.
It should have a number. They number the paragraphs.
5.481.
5
No.
point.
3. Okay, it's under this. Correct.
Right.
5.
Section 5.4.
That's right. When the stem ends in any other letter, the nominative singular will end in. So that's not right.
It's 5.4
A.
A1.
Which remains throughout the singular.
Which is what this is over here.
Right.
That's what this system over here is. That's what that's referring to.
Okay, but what does this mean? The nominative singular ends in A, which remains from.
That's this.
That's this system here. So we don't have any alphas in there. Everything's okay. And you were referring to, which one were you referring to then? You said 5.4A.
4A1. So it says when the stem ends in epsilon, iota, or rho, the predominant vowel will be long A, which is retained throughout the word.
Thank you.
Right. So again,
Right.
I can't find that they pronounce the A long. They treat it long for the purpose of accents. This is,
Okay.
so I know that this.
That stupid accent thing.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, I'm going by the way I've had 2 different professors that taught Greek in 2 different schools, and they both pronounced it that way. And the resources I have on my computer that provide pronunciation, they pronounce it that way. But yeah, but I'm not saying that there aren't other people that aren't, because there are other people that think that we should have a whole different pronunciation system than we're using. What the role we're taking is you're going to go with the pronunciation system that your teacher uses.
Okay.
Oh,
And the thing is I've actually listened. Well, the thing is I've listened to other Greek teachers online, and that's what they tell their classes. That there are different ways that because there's the Erasmian pronunciation. There are people that speak Greek, modern Greek today, and they want to apply some version of a modern Greek pronunciation to biblical Greek. And these guys are saying, just don't fight it. If your teacher pronounces it this way, pronounce it this way. So, because we
our
don't.
teacher says basileia.
Yeah.
So Can we change the pronunciation of AI to A? I
This
want to say I
instead of I.
I'll.
Oh,
How about
oh,
A as in, this is giving me a pain?
oh. Well,
I always want to say A.
oh.
I always want to say A.
We
Birds
have
fighting.
birds fighting in the backyard. Okay. I'm gonna prefer to go with I just because that's the way I know, that's the way I've learned it, so. Okay, so we're looking at first declension. We introduced these first declension nouns the other day. Let's walk through these in our list. We're all gonna take a turn reading through these, our vocabulary words. And even though the definite article is after each one of these in our list, I'm going to ask you to pronounce the definite article normally before. Peggy was doing that the other day and it threw me though, because I kept thinking she was saying something wrong and it wasn't. She was just pronouncing the definite article. So, yeah. Okay, so let's start. So Joe, we'll start with you. You want to?
Hey, agape.
There we go. There we go.
Hey, Alethea.
Okay.
Truth.
Truth.
Hey, hamartia.
Hey, hamartia. Yes. So notice the first two alphas had smooth breathing marks, and now we have a rough. So it's hamartia.
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 Tia.
Hey, basileia. Leia.
Just basilaya.
Basilaya? Oh, okay.
Epsilon and iota together is like a
It's like an alpha and
Got
a
it.
iota.
yeah, it's like
Basilaya.
height.
Height. Basileia. Okay.
Not as in number 8.
Okay. Let's see, get this to go away. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Hey, glossa.
Okay, very good.
Tongue.
Tongue or
Language.
language.
Hey, grafe.
Hey, didache.
Hey, didache, very good. Teaching or instruction.
Hey,
Teaching
doxa.
instruction.
Doxa. Glory.
Glory or reputation, yes.
Hey, irene. Peace.
Very good.
Hey, ecclesia. Assembly or church.
Yes.
Hey, entale. Commandment.
Very good. That's one of those that I butcher. I usually say entole, and entale is actually better. Yeah.
You might want to correct your worksheet there. You just have command.
And you're saying I should change it to
Commandment.
Oh, I usually go with command because
Oh, do you? Okay.
it's modern. We don't use commandment in modern English a great deal if you're outside of churches. So
okay.
It's kind of like today we say Israelis, we don't say Israelites. Israelites is kind of an old English way of referring
So
to it.
command or commandment then.
Yeah, it goes either way. It's where I don't think that there's not a change in meaning. So
Okay.
Hey, exousia.
okay,
Authority or power.
Is it my turn?
yes, your turn.
So hey, Emera.
Okay, this is the one Peggy.
Hey.
Hey, Mera. Hey,
Oh, hey, Hamera. That's right. There's that little. You're right. Hey, Hamera. That's correct.
That's a day.
Day.
Nope.
Nope.
What?
Ha.
Ha.
Oh, sorry, ha. Can't see, my eyes are jumping. Ha.
Ha.
Ha. Not the toss.
And the ha tells you what about
Taste,
this?
not the taste, sorry.
What is it?
It's masculine.
It's masculine. It's first declension, but it's masculine.
Hey, parabole. Vale. Parabole. Parable.
Parable or simile?
Prophetess. Prophet.
Okay, ha. And I
Ha.
say,
Ha prophetes, right?
or prophetes, or
Prophetes.
prophetes.
Okay.
Hey, look for the accent.
Because the accent,
Prophet,
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 had the accent over the second, after the second, on the second syllable. That's
yeah,
why I said,
You were
instead of
correct.
saying prophetes, if I would have, it would taste, wouldn't it have the accent over the last syllable?
right, you're correct. So,
But the A's are still pronounced like long A's.
yeah.
Not short E's.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take these in the order that the book has them. The other day I kind of presented this different. So this is just, I'm gonna rehearse most of the lesson, a little bit shorter time because I want to look at a couple examples and a couple passages, make you do a little bit of legwork on this. So remember what vowel is dominant in the first declension nouns? Alpha. Okay. So these are alpha class nouns, whereas the second declension were Omicron class or
Omicron.
O class. So we come down to according to the book, it's the order that the book takes them in. The first declension, feminine noun endings. So we're looking at feminine because we do have some masculine nouns that are first declension, but these are feminine. And these are for stems that end in epsilon, iota, or rho. So, pardon? Oh,
What?
These are for nouns or stems that end in epsilon, iota, or rho. So this set here, but in the book, they're the first ones you come to.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just taking these.
What was this graph then?
That's your definite article.
Those definite articles. Okay. We can go back. We can go back and look at the definite articles, but I would just as soon
So
look
we're
at the
doing
endings
endings?
first. We're going to
Okay.
look at the endings. Okay. So as we tried to point out the other day with our endings, that we have switched to alpha class. So we have alpha class endings that are being used in all of these. The last 4 cases, the lid case, those 3, and the accusative case, in many ways resemble the second declension, except that they've replaced the Omicron with an alpha in this case, in this situation. So the first 2 are going to be different, though. We would normally expect, pardon me?
I can't remember anything about masculine now.
Okay. Well, our masculine would be
Our second declension now.
second declension word as, u, o, an. Yeah, very good.
Oi, so,
Boy, own.
oh, no, oh. Let me start over. Oi. Ois.
Very good. Very good. See? She tells me she doesn't think she's getting it, but she's working at it. She's getting it. It's just so. Anyway, so we can see what our endings are. The endings in the plural also match in many ways. Kind of what we have in second declension. Instead of having oi, they've replaced the Omicron. We have an alpha. The genitive ablative case endings are the same. They have not changed and they will remain the same through these different declensions. Rather than having ois in the dative, instrumental, and locative cases, we have ice. So again, they've replaced the Omicron with an alpha. The accusative is different because we don't have the us, the Omicron upsilon, we have just an alpha. The what? And well, alpha with a sigma is what I'm trying to say. If you look at the ending on the genitive ablative in the singular and the accusative in the plural, the endings look the same. However, the definite articles are going to be different because in the definite articles, the definite article for the genitive ablative is going to be taste. It's going to be tau, eta, sigma. right over here, tau eta sigma. And I should pull that chart up here, just so we're all on the same page here. Where do I have that chart? Right there. So tau eta sigma, but it's tau alpha sigma, the definite article. In addition to that, context is going to help you a lot. Context, and we're going to look at an example this morning, I hope, before we're done, where you can see that context is going to help you understand this. So again, so let's just walk through what we have in the singular. In the singular, our endings are as, on. So as I was trying to talk with Peggy, these are these, because we're looking at epsilon iota rho. That's the chart that you should have up in your book, the first one. So remember that. So you're memorizing the singulars, as, on, and then you move over in, and if I can do this without getting my tongue twisted here, I own, ice, as, I own, ice, as. So, and that's kind of learning to be able to say that, to rattle that off. Keeping that in together as a package in your mind will be helpful when you come to these and you have to look at a word and try to essentially decipher what you're looking at. Any questions on those? This is kind of a review from the other day, but now, if the stem of the word ends, next chart, and you find your next chart. If the stem of the noun ends in a sigma, a double lambda, or any of those three double consonants, zeta, psi, or psi, or psi. Again, that's one of those, I don't know how everybody else pronounces it all the time. Then what's going to happen is, and this only affects the singular, if you learn the plural endings, they are not going to change throughout. But in the singular, the genitive ablative and the dative, instrumental, and locative cases will change. So we're going from, we had over here alpha, to now we're changing to eta in these, which is what we have over here. So we have alpha, we still have alpha, comes across, alpha, so it's on, but these become ace and a. So when we have these endings on the end of our stem, sigma, double lambda, or the double consonants, it's going to be a, ace, a, on. But the plural is going to stay the same. There's still going to be I, own, ice, as. No changes in the plural, only changes. Now, when I went over this the other day, and I myself not being an expert in Greek, like people that maybe have their PhDs or whatever in it, I don't know why they don't start with the eta. The thing is, all words that start in any other letter. I would look at the epsilon iota rho chart, the first one, and the ones with the sigma lambda. I would look at those as like exceptions, where you have special cases, but they don't look at it that way in the book. And so apparently somebody smarter than me has figured this out. And pardon me?
I don't think so.
Oh. And it might, and you know, and one of the things I haven't looked at is it might have to do with the occurrence of nouns. The occurrence of nouns in these forms here maybe are more common than in that. I really cannot say. But now we're going to consistently have etas all throughout in the singular. And then again, no change in the plural. The plural does not change. It's going to be the same in all these. So we're going to have a, ace, a, ain in the singular endings. A, ace, a, ain. So that's the way you're going to. So if you have any other letter than the epsilon iota rho, any other letter than the sigma, double lambda, or double consonants, you're going to have a, ace, a, ain. If you're going to have epsilon iota rho, you're going to have alpha throughout, so it's going to be a, as, a, on. And if you have sigma, double lambda, or any of the double consonants, then it's going to be a, ace, a, on. What?
it up.
What?
They just like to mix it.
They just like to mix it up. Okay. We have one other situation, and it's the last chart I have in the notes online, and I still did not go back and check these, and I had time to do this lately. And that is that we also have some nouns that are masculine. And so you should completely ignore this line under here. This is nothing in my notes that I provide you online. That shouldn't even be part of that. And I can't excise this because I've got well, actually I can't. Oh, I can, because this is in my writing program. I thought this was the PDF. I put the PDF up online. There we go. Let me save that real quick. There we go. Okay, so when a word is masculine, then it starts off in like a second declension noun, which would be os. Oh, yes, and for you, yes. Section, what is this?
No, we're looking at your notes.
Oh, you are, okay. So instead of os ending, like we would normally have in the nominative case of a masculine noun, we have ace, because these are alpha class nouns. We have oo, just like we do in the second declension in the genitive ablative. But for the remainder, it's going to be treated like a regular, it's going to look like a feminine because it's going to have a and ain. The only difference is, the big difference, other than the nominative and genitive ablative forms, is that the masculine is going to take masculine articles. They're not going to take the first declension, they're going to take second declension masculine articles, not first declension feminine articles. So your articles are going to be ha, tu, to, tan, and so on.
The gender determines the article, not the declension.
Very good, very good. If you couldn't hear Peggy, the gender determines the article, not the declension.
One thing I remember.
Okay. Now let's go.
That's always the rule, right? That's always the rule, no matter what. The gender always takes that.
That gender is going to, yes, it's going to be the thing that's going to determine that. And that's going to be very important, because when you're looking at words, and if you have a question, when you look up a word in a dictionary, Peg and I, when we were going over reviewing some of her stuff on Monday evening, she had something and she says, why is that important? And I said, it's important because if you go to look this word up, let's say you come across a word and you don't know it. It's outside of the vocabulary you've learned, and you've bought yourself a Greek dictionary, and you go and flip through that Greek dictionary and you look and you try to find the word, and you're like, well, I don't find that word. And it's because you have to find the vocabulary ending of it, or the vocabulary form of that. And the vocabulary form is obviously going to reflect the gender in addition to the declension that the word occurs in. So it's going to be a combination of those things is going to help you determine what the vocabulary form is. Now our definite articles in first declension are going to be a. In the genitive ablative, we're going to have taste. In the dative, locative, and instrumental, it's going to be te. It's going to be tain. So if we go back up here, and I'm going to pull both these up side by side, here are the endings that we have when we don't have special cases. So that first set of endings that we have listed over here, those endings are going to largely match what we have in the articles, except that in the articles outside of the nominative case, we've added a tau. So we're going to have the ending for the nominative is a, the definite article is a. The ending for the genitive ablative is ace, and we add a tau and we have taste for the definite article. We have a for the endings for the dative, locative, and instrumental, and we're going to add a tau, so we're going to have te. We have ain for the accusative. We add a tau for the accusative definite article. And then we're going to do the same thing. When we move over into the plurals, we're going to have the same type of situation. We have I, and then tone, tice, and toss. So
I
the
have
definite
two-
articles.
I have two observations.
Sure.
One is, I think you answered the question right now, why they list in that order. So you can do this comparative real quickly to the definite article. That's maybe why they put this in the third set, right? And in that order. But also on the first declension articles, also we need to change those alphas to the Greek alpha, right?
We need to change the what?
The A, look at the A. It's not the Greek alpha. Look
Where
at the A, AI, Tice. That's the English A.
Well, it's not in my font. That's actually Greek. I'm typing on a Greek
Oh,
keyboard.
I see.
So
Okay.
that's just what you're going to find out is different fonts are just going to produce the different looks of the letters.
Oh, okay.
So those are alphas, and if you look at them really up close, you see it has both a top and a bottom curl.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you had to switch fonts to do the chart. Is that right?
Yeah, so I actually
I see.
I think I explained that maybe last week that I actually can shift over and use the keyboard.
He's talking about how in your definite article chart, you have English, the font you used here is different than the font you used in the other chart.
Oh, and part of the reason is I think, let me take a quick gander here at let me pull this up. I want to see what I have here. I'm trying to see what my text is. See, this is Helvetica, and then this is when I write, most of the time I write in Gentium Basic.
Oh.
So this is Gentium Basic, and this is what an alpha looks like in Helvetica. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I end up using Helvetica, switching to Helvetica down below there, is because Gentium Basic gives you a tilde instead of a circumflex
Gotcha.
for the accent for that. And I would prefer, if it's just for me, the tilde doesn't bother me because I know what I'm reading. But when I'm trying to teach this, I would prefer to switch over to a circumflex, even though I don't like writing stuff normally in Helvetica. So it's kind of a style thing for me. But that's why these up here look differently than these, because I have them in two different fonts, although they're actually typed in Greek on a Greek keyboard. So, okay. Now, I want to look at, so we're going to find, hopefully you have a Greek text of some form that you can look at. I'm going to pull it up online here. So if you're online with this, you can see that. But if you have a Greek interlinear, you can do that with that. Or if you have a Greek Bible, and you can pull that open and you can look for the stuff in your Greek Bible if you're doing that. So we're going to go, first of all, to Matthew chapter 9. And I'm going to have you get my Bible program. There we go.
It's not Matthew.
Oh, let's see. Guess what? I have to pull up a new one here because I accidentally overwrote that one. Okay. She is. There we go. Okay, so I want to go to Matthew 9. I was looking up some of these and I was trying to find some verses where we had more than one of them close together. If you go to Matthew, oh, not 9, Matthew 8. I wrote that down wrong in my notes. Matthew 8. Matthew chapter 8. And I'm going to read down through some of this. I'm going to see if you can identify some of the words. So are you looking at it in Greek? Okay.
Yeah, if you can tell me the verse.
Oh, 8:11, Matthew 8:11, I'm sorry. Okay, so what's the first word we have there? Can you pronounce it for me?
Lego.
Okay, and Lego is, but
I say.
it's I say, okay.
I say.
And then we haven't, I don't think we've introduced the conjunction yet, but probably one of the most common ways to translate is but. So it's what we call a post-positive conjunction, meaning we in English always say, but I say, because we never say, I say, but. No, we always say, but I say. We'll learn this eventually in one of the upcoming lessons. But it's but it always occurs in the Greek second or after a definite article and its noun together. Sometimes even an adjective is squeezed in there with the noun. But
Tim, can it be and? Mine says and.
I. They do translate it and, because as a translator, sometimes that makes more sense. The other way I tend to translate it is sometimes now.
Oh, okay. But it is but.
But
Okay.
or now. So it can go, because there is some breadth of meaning to that. It doesn't have one meaning in particular. But it's just one. But is probably one of the most common ways that it's translated, and it's what you'll hear in basic Greek normally.
Can it be both, but now or not?
It could be. It could be sometimes.
But
That's going to be an interpretive decision that you make when you translate. So anyway, so I'll just highlight these words as I go through here. So in the way we would pronounce it, we would say, but I say to you that many from many ones, it's plural, from apo, from Anatolon, and that's what case is that? Even though you don't know the word.
masculine.
Okay, so it's a
Masculine plural.
Oh.
second,
Plural.
and we're going to say ablative plural, maybe because they've come from, and Anatole, I believe, is the form, or is actually the vocabulary form. So it would be first declension noun, and it's from east, or from the east. Okay. And then deusmon, also similarly, deusmon is genitive ablative again, or from the west. And they come, don't worry about that. We don't know this word yet. They will come and they will recline. We haven't learned prepositions. They're coming up in a couple lessons here try pronouncing that next name there. Abraham, which should be Abraham. Yeah. And
Isaac.
Supposedly this is going to be my grandson's name, I guess. Laughter, Itzhak. And Yaakov, which is Jacob. Yeah, Jacob. Because we pronounce these with a J sound sometimes. Yeah, Jesus' name is, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
And here we come. So then we have in te basileia. So,
It's lit.
and try to decide which one would you go with. It's dative. Dative is.
I don't even know what we're saying.
Reception, right.
I would say it's dative, right?
Okay.
Because they're receiving, or
It's locative. It's going to be locative.
it's locative. Okay.
Dative would be the case of reception. So it's not that they're going to recline with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for the benefit of the kingdom. No, it's going to be in the kingdom. So the location.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's the kingdom, and then we have.
Location in the kingdom. Okay.
I think we learned Uranus. We haven't learned that yet. Okay, so this is heaven, and here's the kingdom of the heavens. Now we come to verse 12.
There's kingdom again.
What is oi? It's actually
plural.
hoi. It's hoi. Remember.
It's a plural.
It's a plural.
Masculine. Second declension.
Plural. Nominative plural.
But-
Nominative plural.
But the,
Yeah, nominative. Thank you.
The sons of the kingdom.
It's,
Sorry, those
so
are the
it's,
first, the
so
second.
it's a definite article. So it's
Wait.
the, yeah.
No,
so-
you're right.
Yeah, you're
No,
right.
I said second declension.
You're right.
Yes, it is. It is second declension, because this is the second
Oh, that's right,
declension.
'cause I always use that, that's
The
right.
boxes are the first declension.
So, yeah. So it's the second declension. So, but, so again, but,
yeah, there it is, but.
which, what, in
Nominative, it's the subject of sentence.
the sub,
Sons.
Sons.
okay,
Okay, so we're down to the sons of the kingdom.
sons of the kingdom. It's an epsilon iota rho, so it's our case over here where we have epsilon iota rho, or this system, as they say,
Sons of the kingdom.
sons,
But use those articles.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so sons of the kingdom, yeah.
wait.
Yep.
So it would be but the sons of the kingdom?
But the
So-
sons
Yeah.
of the kingdom.
Yes.
So the
It would be
son,
but the sons of the kingdom on that?
yes.
Sons.
Yes.
And then we have our verb, they will be cast out into darkness, the outside or the outer darkness. Okay, and we don't need to go any further. But what it gave you the opportunity was to identify a few of the words you've been looking at, that you've been seeing.
Oh, heck
But-
yeah, we could read that first little piece right there.
Hey, but isn't it exciting to see that you actually can make some of it out? You actually can look at it and identify it. To me, it's pretty cool.
That is.
I'm going to go to Matthew 13. Let's go to Matthew 13 and go to verse 8 when you get. I have Mark 13:8. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at what I've got written down here. I got
Verse 8.
Mark 13:8.
Come on.
And we don't need to worry about the first word. I think we've learned this. Just let me go back and look at our verb.
Oh, yeah, there.
But we haven't learned this form of it. This is the verb agyro, which you learned, which means to raise,
Right.
but it's a different form of it. It's
No,
a, yeah.
stop, right there.
so, and then we have another post-positive connector or conjunction, gar.
Gar.
So it's for, and that's also, we'd say for will rise. And then we have, see if somebody can
Second.
pronounce,
Ethnos.
Sorry.
okay, Peggy
Ethnos.
pronounce it. Ethnos. Oh, yes. Peggy's got on her, here, oh, they can't see you because I don't have, the camera's on the camera is on my page.
Oh, and then,
Does
Oh,
anyone know what ethnos means? You want to take a gander?
Nations.
Nation?
Yeah.
yeah,
So it'll be nations, and then this is a shortened version of the preposition epi. They've dropped the iota because the word following begins with a vowel. So
Vowel.
they've dropped one vowel. So it's nation will rise against nation, and I should let you do Kai.
Kai and Basileia and
Kingdom.
against kingdom.
Yeah.
Is
Against
that what epi is? Epi is
Yep.
against?
In this case, it is. It literally is. The basic thing you learn epi is upon. So if it's upon, think of people that when they're like two kids when they're wrestling, one's on top of the other, dominating another or attempting to dominate. So against is a derived idea. So there. So we have. So now the first one, kingdom, it will be kingdom upon kingdom. So what form is the first word, basileia?
Nominative.
Nominative, singular,
Uh-huh.
and then what's the second one?
It is accusative.
Accusative.
Accusative singular, yeah. Which, that's one of the things you eventually will learn when you learn prepositions,
Preposition.
Is that-
Object of a preposition.
is that different prepositions take different prepositions take different cases. So the meanings of prepositions depend on different cases. Okay. One last one I want you to look in Luke 9. There's one last one with basileia. Luke 9, and when you get to Luke 9, go to 9:62.
The chapter, the blind man, right?
But said,
That's done. This is Luke 9. Okay, so I'm going to walk through this. Our first word, believe it or not, is a form of the word Lego, but it's past tense. But now said, and then we have, just skip the pros auton in your text if you have that. And then we come to
Jesus.
Jesus, the Jesus. And we don't know. We don't know why they do that. Jesus is a noun that doesn't decline normally. It's a proper name, and it oftentimes it has two forms, Yesu and Jesus, and it doesn't change. It's in those two. And then one of the other things that's interesting about proper names that we don't do in English is proper names in Greek sometimes, for no reason that we understand, take a definite article. In fact, I think I was listening to Dan Wallace, who has taught Greek at Dallas Theological Seminary for well over 30 years, I believe. And Dan Wallace, even, I think he was the one I heard make that comment. I apologize to him if he's not the one that said this, but he said, we don't always know. We still to this day do not know why sometimes the writers put a definite article with a proper name and sometimes they don't.
So it's not something obvious like Jesus was a common name and they want us to know that it's the Jesus we all know that we're talking about.
Exactly, we don't, because there are times that that's been a suggestion that people make, but then there's situations in which it doesn't occur with it.
It doesn't.
It doesn't occur with it, and you'd probably find it probably occur without definite articles as much as they do anyway.
yeah, no.
Anyway, so yes, the Jesus, and then we have no one throwing or casting or putting upon, then tain kaira, his hand epi, upon the arotron, that is the plow, and then we don't know this form, kai blepon.
Look, right?
No, not book, but it's a verb.
Look.
Look, I'm sorry, bad ears on my side. It is look. So looking, exactly.
Which is a form of seeing.
It is a form of seeing. I see, yes.
Blepo.
Ice ta opiso, the things behind him. So looking back, we would say. And then we have a word meaning he is not fit for, he is not well placed for, and here we go. Okay.
So that's the kingdom in I would say dative singular.
Okay. Now, why would you say dative? I want to hear.
Because at the very end you see Theo or God, so I think that Tao there must be of God or something. So or from or receiving, or I guess it's because it's not I did it by deduction. It's definitely not locative or instrumental, so it had to be dative, That's how I first did it, but that's what I was thinking. But I think it's looking back from the kingdom. It's like
what he's saying here, he says this is the parable where he's talking about the call for discipleship, and he says a person that puts his hand to the plow and then looks backward rather than looking ahead, that one is not fit. And how do we say that? He's not fit. What word do we supply? We say for. And if you're saying for, which one of those three cases are you using? The locative, instrumental, or the dative?
yes, dative.
Dative. So this is why we would look at it. It's not that he's not suited in the kingdom of God. It's not saying that he's not suited by the kingdom of God. It's rather he's not suited for the kingdom. And then we have, that which you also know then.
Okay.
That's plural.
What is plural?
No, it's not. It's singular. It's not.
What
Sorry, to that.
okay. Okay.
How do we know it's not in?
Well, it could be in. It's just that what Jesus is trying to say is that at that time, for a person to enter in the kingdom of God, to enter into that, they couldn't come into the kingdom, so they weren't suited for it. That's the way most of our Bibles translate it. If you wanted it to be in, you would have to make a case for why you think it needs to be in.
Gotcha.
And seriously, as you move on, as you understand Greek better, this is one of the things that you have to do, is you have to wrestle with the context and how that informs your decision. And sometimes the other things you have to do is you have to get to know that author. So you have to look at the other places where the author uses that word and find out in that form, in that type of context, are they more likely to be using it as a dative, or are they more likely to use it as a locative? So yeah, so there are a number of things that you have to do when you're interpreting. But we all know that because I think we all understand the importance of context. Okay.
Masculine. Yep. The lid. Is it?
There's supposed to be a note of subscript on it. It's very light. Yes. Okay. So the next example I want us to do is I want us to go over to 1 Corinthians, and we're going to look at another one of our words here.
In case anyone wondered, I'm enjoying this.
Okay. Okay, when you get to 1 Corinthians, I want you to let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10. And there's gonna be a word in there that looks like one you know, but you don't actually know it quite yet. But there is a word there that you do know. It's part of one of our vocabulary words in 12:10. So I'll just let you look through the Greek words there. I have it up here. For the people online, they can cheat because they come up highlighted.
Tongues.
That we know. Nope, that's not. That looks like the one that we know.
I'm sorry. We're in verse 10. 15, 12, 10.
Glosa.
It is. It's glosa.
Oh, there
Okay.
it is.
Tongues.
There's twice at the end of the verse.
Yes.
And Paul is talking about the Spirit giving gifts. And so in the first part of the verse, he says, but to another, the working of gifts, to another prophecies. So he's not a prophet. We've just learned prophet. We haven't actually learned prophetia. So Peggy was right. It looks like our word. It's related.
So that's the word what? Prophecy?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
That would be the gift that a prophetess has. And then to another, the discerning or judging of spirits. And then to, interestingly enough, a different, to a different kind then, different kinds, kine would be a race or a kind, different kinds of glosa. Okay.
Also.
Now what case is that?
Sown is in the
Genitive ablative.
plural.
That would be a plural.
So how would you translate that since it's
Genitive, ablative.
It's a quality, right? So that'd be genitive.
genitive? I agree, because I don't think it's not coming from tongues.
Right.
Kinds of what? So it's answering, it's describing kinds of tongues.
Tongues.
Yeah, tongues, different kinds of tongues.
So it's genitive.
So it's genitive, and it's plural. Why would it be plural?
Because there are many kinds.
Because
There's many languages.
yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can find, and that occurs, by the way, twice again, because then at the end of the verse, meant to another than the interpretation, same thing. Okay, I want to go down to, let's go down to 12 and verse, no, let's skip that one. Let's go to verse 13, chapter 13, verse 1.
Chapter 13.
1 Corinthians 13, 1. And Yeah, that
Oh.
first word in there, that would be simply, we would translate it if, okay?
Now we're in lid.
Okay, we're in good case plural endings. So now we have to
Oh, golly, okay. So lid case plural. If. Okay. Are you looking at the English? Are you
No.
okay, are you saying tone anthropone, or are you going back to Tice both sides?
Size, both sides.
Okay. Okay, so what is tone anthropone? That's,
Wait, what? Oh, wait.
So you're saying if by means of a tongue,
Oh, yeah.
the brothers,
no.
from the brothers?
Then.
Oh, sorry, the men, sorry.
Anthropon is anthropos is man, so of men.
Of the men. Oh, if the tongue doesn't,
Not.
Lalo
And then
is.
used by.
Yeah. And
Tone, okay, so this is a really good exercise. So tone anthropone, what are we looking at?
Genitive afflative,
Okay, so if it's genitive, it's going to be doing what?
describing.
It's going to be describing.
The
so-
tongues,
Okay, yeah, so it's going to be describing the tongue.
or is it describing that next word, which is my speech?
The next verb is a verb. I speak.
Right.
Well, so if I should happen to speak, by, or most of your Bibles say,
By means of the tongue.
by means of the tongues
Of men.
of the men. So in other words,
Of the-
so we would
okay.
say human languages, right?
Right.
And then we have after the word speak,
Okay.
And
and then
And angels.
and of angels.
whales. Yeah.
That would be the
And of angels.
languages of,
And of the angels.
okay. So when we have, so I think you made a right choice here when we set up here the first part of it, by means of the tongues, because we could say locative, a lot of your Bibles translate if I speak in the tongues, but we're not actually standing in it. So when our Bibles translate it with, they're kind of talking about how you're doing it, talking about the instrument.
So the description.
Doing it by means of, you're not doing it for the tongues, so dative doesn't make sense.
Okay.
The tongues characterized by men, that is human tongues, and tonangalon,
of angels.
and of angels. So tongues also the language of angels, if that
So-
should happen to.
Right, but this is translated of men and
But
Right. So it's looking at something very specific, very specifically the human tongues, and very specifically the angel tongues, or the angel languages would be
okay.
most likely. In your English Bibles, they drop the off in front of those because it's awkward English. So they just say, if I speak with the tongues of men and of angels. But I think that it's important that he actually includes a definite article in front of those, because there's something very specific that he's looking at in this context.
Tim, when is the word if ever the word since? Because I hear that a lot.
Oh, and this is a combination. We talked about this one the other day. Let me stop sharing for just a minute here so you can see. It's this. This is the particle that means if, I. What we're looking at in the first place in this word is I, on. And this is a particle that brings contingency. So when you combine those, we end up with on. And so it's an if, usually where there's more contingency to it. There's a little bit more of a question. Whereas this I, as it occurs with the indicative cases, is going to look at something if, And I assume this is most likely true. I don't have any reason to not think it's true in that case. And it's kind of an if that they used to draw the audience into the discussion. The audience, yeah, that's true. Not for the audience to sit there and scratch their heads and go, I don't know, no. So, but that's a whole nother lesson on down the road. Okay.
Okay.
Chapter
Okay, we've gone much longer than I was planning on going here this morning. I had another passage in 1 Corinthians 14 where I was going to have you look at another couple verses on tongues. Because I just thought it would be helpful for you to actually try to see if you could identify this. And everybody was doing it. All four of you, I could hear all four of you actually identifying these, and that's what you need to do. And then you just have to do some wrestling with it in terms of trying to figure out, okay, which case is that? I can narrow it to genitive ablative. Which one of those seems to work? It's the lit case. Which one of those works better? And you have to walk through the different ways that translating cases. So, okay, so your assignment then, and maybe next week I will try to remember. I'd like to go and look at just. I think it'd be fun. There's several places where glossa occurs down in chapter 14. I need to remind myself to look. Next meeting will be November 3rd, I think.
Oh, it's
So
Election day.
election day. Okay, yeah, we dropped our ballots in the ballot box already. So, so now that we've kind of gone through the lesson twice and tried to review this, can again continue to try to practice these, and then beginning the workbook, going through the lessons, there are some additional vocabulary that they add at the beginning. I'll go through there, and we will start through those worksheets, reviewing through those on Tuesday. Any other questions?
What's additional?
At the beginning of the worksheet? No, in the book, in the workbook. In the workbook, there are some additional vocabulary to have. So, and one of those is on. That's where in the workbook it actually has that on conditional particle that we use here. Yeah. And we have the verb loleo in there too, which we looked at today. We saw that there in 1 Corinthians 13:1. So, okay. Any other questions? I just say, I was excited. All of you were getting this. All of you were getting this, and all of you were saying some things. So that was exciting to see.
Right?
I don't think so. No,
Why? It's lit.
but only in the singular. Only in the singular. No, only in the singular.
However, you could fix the subscript down
Yeah,
here.
you could make this one darker. So, okay. Thank you all.
You shut.
And I would just say I think you're all doing well for having me for a Greek teacher. So, okay. If there isn't any other questions, I'm going to tie this off.
I mean, I can ask all kinds of questions.
Okay. Well, it was nice having you all with us last night at Bible study too. We enjoyed that and the visit, and I know the Butlers enjoyed their visit with Joe and Elizabeth afterwards. That was good. So, okay. Well, have a great day. Have a good weekend.
Bye. Oops.
Have a good day in the Lord, as you would say.